Welcome to the Special Chronicles Podcast, where we will give and respect and voice to people with special needs through media. I'm your host, Daniel Smrokowski, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Throughout this three-part mental health series, we're bringing you weekly encore episodes and conversations designed to empower you with first-hand mental health resources, real stories, and practical tools to support your well-being. Be sure to visit specialchronicles.com/mental-health. That's specialchronicles.com/mental-health for the show notes for this episode. While you're there, follow us on social media, subscribe to our newsletter, and follow us on your favorite podcast app so you never miss a new episode. Today, I'm excited to welcome Brianna Kaplan, a Chicago-based United Airlines flight attendant, to the show. Brianna joins me on the job for a fun and meaningful conversation about whole mental health advocacy and the way she shares her flight attendant lifestyle across Instagram and YouTube. In our conversation, Brianna and I dive into her personal mental health journey and why she's so passionate about advocacy, encouragement and advice for anyone struggling with their mental health, how Netflix's Ginny in Georgia portrays mental health and why representation matters, her path to becoming a United Airlines flight attendant, and Brianna's practical insider tips for anyone dreaming of joining the in-flight team of our United family. It's an uplifting, honest, and an energizing conversation that you won't want to miss. So let's get started right here on SpecialChronicles.com as we go on the job with Brianna Kaplan.
This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles Show. This is episode 515. My name is Daniel Smrokowski. I am the founder of Special Chronicles and the Special Olympic Southern Tribal International Global Messenger and a service ambassador at United Airlines based in Chicago. Our website, I don't want to bring on a guest just yet. Our website, Let's backtrack that a little bit. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 730 episodes absolutely for free. And follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, our original series, award-winning columns, blogs, and sign up for our newsletter. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. This week on the Special Chronicles show, we're on the job with Brianna Kaplan, a flight attendant based in Chicago with United Airlines. And so please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Brianna to the Special Chronicles show and our Unified at Work series. Gotta love the applause. And yeah. I just remembered, and we're not gonna we record this. We'll just kind of go with it. I think I have to tell a little other kind of programming on kind of a behind the scenes note to you, and I'll just tell you on air so our listeners can hear it too. Because the audio podcast listeners can't see us, but if people are watching the video episode on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and then they can see us. But I forgot to ask if you wanted to, on the bottom lower third next to your name, to put your Instagram handle on there if you wanted. So I can walk you through, and the listeners on this. Listeners, let's take care of some tech stuff. So in the bottom square, you're going to see three dots next to a little microphone. And so you can click on that. And then it should pop up your display name. And then you can put like the little line, just put your Instagram handle next to your name. Kind of like what you see my name there. And
I see. Okay.
My video might be, there we go. So, Yeah. Okay. We're just gonna go with that. And so, as you do that, I'll share with our listeners briefly how we got connected. So we got connected on, I think, Instagram. Another Chicago-based employee on the ramp. I think his name's Chris, and I'm blinking on his Instagram handle, but I think it's aviation something.
I underscore lover, I think.
Yeah, and so we got connected. Yeah, so it's because like when you follow different employees, you get connected with, and so that's how we got connected. But I want to kind of have you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us your connection to our disability or mental health community briefly, and like if you were to do like a 1-minute clip on Instagram, kind of just a brief one, because we'll get into more details in the next segment after the break, but briefly introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, well, my name is Brianna. I am a Chicago-based flight attendant. I'm originally from Florida, but moved to Chicago for the job. And I have been battling anxiety for the last few years, really. It has gotten a lot better, but it really did take a toll on me when I was first experiencing it and first going through it, which is my main reason for wanting to talk about it more often and share my experience, because if I would have had someone help me back then, it would have made such a big difference. So that's what I want to try to do.
Awesome. And we'll get into much more of your story in the next segment. But first, we'll take a quick sponsor break. When we come back, we will talk more with Brianna about mental health and being a flight attendant, because there's a question later on, and I think in the third segment that we'll get to, that I know one of my colleagues based in Denver would be really interested in hearing about. So we'll get to all that on everything that you want to know about becoming a flight attendant or about advocating for mental health when the podcast continues right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be right back. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. And we're back. So let's continue. And I've seen some of the Instagram reels that you have done. If I did a little bit more work preparing for how podcasts recorded today, I would have checked out your YouTube channel. But maybe after when this episode airs in about a month, I will do that along with the listeners. But why don't you begin and tell us about your early years with your mental health journey?
Yeah, well, there was an incident that had happened a few years back that really triggered that response, an anxiety response within me. And it started out kind of slow. It started out with, I would start to feel a little bit of panic and heart racing, and I just kind of blew it off. But then there was one day where it became a much bigger thing. And I actually ended up in the hospital because I thought that something was really wrong. And one of the worst moments I've ever been through. So I ended up in a full-blown panic attack. They did a bunch of tests on me at the hospital and basically just came back and said I was stressed out. Mm-hmm. And I, at the time, didn't realize what stress could do on your body. So it became a really big part of my life, and it was really debilitating. And I was having difficulties at work and in my relationships. And it came to a point where I knew that I could not continue going on like that. So I did so much research on different techniques and how I could help myself. I started going to therapy. I feel like I tried literally everything there was to try to help calm my anxiety and really get through it. And I will say, going to therapy helped me tremendously. Highly recommend it for everyone, honestly, even if you aren't feeling anxious or feel like there's anything wrong, essentially. Everyone should go to therapy at some point in their life. And it really helped me get a handle on it. I will say, I can't say that I don't struggle now, because I still do struggle with it, but I know my body more, and I know the techniques and how to use them and how to bring myself down when I start to feel like I'm getting to that high again. So it's been a rough few years. I wouldn't wish anyone to go through any of that, but again, that's part of the reason why I want to be more vocal about my experience and do what I can to help others that might be going through something like what I went through.
Good. I want to highlight a couple things that hopefully the video is not frozen. I want to highlight a couple things that you said. One is is about how you encourage everyone to go to therapy. And one, I think I might still be a little frozen. The stream. All right. So when it comes to therapy, and this will kind of lead into the next question about advocating for your mental health. So my girlfriend and I have gone to, and we do another podcast called the Georgia Daniel Show, and we actually, so we went through couples therapy, so for when we were going through it, we didn't talk about it on our podcast, and it was about a couple years after that we eventually told our listeners about it and the benefits of therapy. So going along with that, can you maybe share with our listeners about the benefits of going through therapy to help with your mental health or to help with your relationships, and how you use that to advocate for mental health?
Yeah, so there are so many different techniques that therapists use, and when I first started going, some of the first things that my therapist did with me was grounding techniques and using your senses to pretty much bring you back to where you are. So, things that you can see, things that you can smell, things that you can taste, touch, feel, to bring you back down to earth, essentially. And then there was another technique that we did, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was essentially we would go back through the trauma that I was experiencing at that time, and they would use vibrations whenever we would talk about it. She would use different vibrations in my hands. I'll have to look it up and then let you know. Yeah. But it was some sort of therapy that at the beginning, when I started seeing her, I couldn't even talk about the situation without being hysterical. And by the end of it, I could actually talk about it like normal. So it worked wonders for me. It was amazing. And I think also being able to talk to someone that's not directly involved in your life gives you a different perspective. And it can be a lot easier to talk to someone that doesn't know you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm sure that some of our listeners, either themselves or they might know somebody that's struggling with mental health in either life or also in work. Because I'm sure, as you know, definitely those of us at United Airlines and in the airline industry, there can be a lot of either mental health issues or a lot of stress that either you deal with in flight or like I'm in customer service in our airport operations. So whether you work in airport operations or you work in flight like yourself, is there any advice? I'm sure therapy is probably might be a number one advice, but is there any advice that you have for those struggling with mental health in life and in work?
Support system. So having, a couple people in your corner, they might not know exactly what you're going through, but they can at least be there for you and listen to you if you need to vent about something, or just be there to support you in whatever way you need support in that moment in time. I also think, taking time for yourself sometimes. Being a flight attendant, we might not always get, that time, but if on layovers, instead of going out with the crew or going exploring, just hanging out in the room by yourself, reading a book, doing yoga, going to the gym, those things really can help your mental state, especially when I was going through what I went through a few years ago when I was having really bad panic attacks. Exercise was another thing that really helped me get through it because I was burning out all of that energy. So I was expelling it when I was working out, and then later on I didn't really have anything left to be anxious about. So that's something else that really helps. Or even meditating or journaling too, writing down your thoughts, just kind of getting it out of your headspace.
Yeah, awesome. I've got a bunch of notebooks here too, and yeah, I've been for I don't know, maybe probably at least since I was in high school, I've had a bunch of different journals, and so nice. I definitely recommend that as well. So I believe I might have seen on your Instagram, or I don't know if you've seen the Netflix series Georgia and Ginny. And I think those seasons 1 and 2 people can stream on Netflix. And one of I believe like one of the male characters in that show deals with mental health. So I was wondering if you could comment on that show, that Netflix series, Georgia and Ginny, and how on TV how they portray mental health topics, and kind of using that Netflix series as an example. Yeah,
so I love that show. Actually, I binged the entire second season in a day, but they really do bring to light a lot of mental health issues. And just as like a trigger warning, I don't want to ruin it either for people that haven't seen it, but they do talk about topics regarding anxiety, depression, self-harm, so things that are real life. And I think they do portray it very well, especially in younger years, because adolescence is such a hard time. And when I was that age, I remember experiencing some of those same feelings, and I can only imagine what it's like today. But yeah, the male character that you're referencing, he was suffering from depression, and I think he was even on medication for it. And it kind of just becomes something where you have to, or you feel like you have to seclude yourself from everyone else, and it's really hard to get out of. And I talk about anxiety a lot, but anxiety and depression do go hand in hand. So I have had episodes where I've also been through that, where I literally was not able to leave the bedroom for a week, and I was just, that negative self-talk and all that stuff, and it's really hard to get out of it. And I think that show really does a good portrayal of it, and I do commend Netflix for that. And I know that they have spoken about issues like this in the past with other TV shows, and I think it's really important, and I think it's really great that they are talking about these issues more and bringing awareness to it more.
Yeah, I agree. Even though on a lot of these TV shows are fiction stories, but if people can, if viewers can recognize what's happening with these characters in their own lives, then that could bring about some positive change.
You can relate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go and take another short break and hear from two of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll get into your United journey, because this episode is part of our Unified at Work series, which features conversations about the meaning of inclusive employment. So all different either types of disabilities or mental health, and so we will continue talking with you, Brianna, after this next break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Whoops! I always do that. I played the wrong bumper. Let's play the right clip this time. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they're literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And support for Special Chronicles comes from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with United Airlines and the Bridge BLG. Bridge BLG is committed to being an ally for our employees and customers with disabilities. Bridge helps to create internal awareness to keep accessibility needs in mind and partner with key owner organizations to empower disability inclusion for employment and travel. Bridge, connecting people of all abilities. Book your travel today on United.com or on the award-winning United app. Learn more on United's commitment to disability inclusion for employment and travel at specialchronicles.com/United. That's specialchronicles.com/United. And we're back to the show. And that last sponsor break is a good transition to talking about your United journey. And so let's have you begin. And on this series, I actually started this series. I think this is our fourth year of this Unified at Work series on this podcast. And I started it when I began my job at United Airlines as a service ambassador, or Special Olympic Service Ambassador, SOSA, and so I'm one of the original service ambassadors based in Chicago. And then since then, United has hired Special Olympics athletes in Denver and Houston. And then just this month, we'll record this in January, so I think about a week or two ago, they hired full service ambassadors at Washington Dulles. And then later this year, I don't know if I can say the next hub. I'll say it is one of the other hubs in the U.S. We'll leave it at that until we know if we. I don't want to get in trouble from the community. Yeah. You just stay subscribed to this podcast, and we will update you when we can more publicly announce. So with that, Brianna, can you share with us how you began at United Airlines as a flight attendant?
Yeah, so it kind of started a few years back. I actually flew for another company, which I have a YouTube video talking all about that and my experience with it and why I left. Essentially, the timing wasn't right, but I knew that I wanted to come back to aviation. I knew that I loved flying. So when that time came, I had honestly just threw my application out there. And after I did that, I did go and I started to do my own research on the companies, because I do feel like there is a company out there for everyone. You know, I might not align well with another airline, and I wanted to make sure that wherever I went, I was going to be happy with. So United was my top choice. I really liked the direction the company was going in. They aligned with my beliefs. I loved how diverse they were trying to be, how much they were trying to, you know, give back to the environment and be involved in the community. And those were all things that really drew me in. I had actually gotten hired on from a regional airline first, and I started training with them, but it was virtual training due to COVID. So it was only day one at home. And I had gotten my email from United with my conditional job offer that day. So it all worked out, honestly, I think perfectly. So I told the regional, you know, after the day ended, that I wasn't going to be returning. And then I started training and everything with United, and it's been over just a little bit over a year now, and I'm still here and I'm loving it.
Awesome. So awesome. and now I think just a couple of months ago, the CEO of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, announced I think like over 200 new aircrafts are coming.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was good timing with getting hired.
Yeah, I think it was 100 new 737s and I think 100 Dreamliners.
Yeah.
And I think we're supposed to be getting the new Airbus this year too.
Yeah,
soon.
Awesome. And speaking of that, on all of our new aircrafts, I don't know if this story has been announced yet, but I will briefly say, because technically this episode is not going live until the end of February, so if we need to edit this out, we can. But on all the new aircrafts, one of the things that our bridge BLG has been advocating for is to help people who are blind or have low vision of having Braille. And so we will be having Braille. I don't know if you heard the news, but we'll be having Braille on all of the new aircrafts, awesome. On the seats and the lavatory. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully I will have to double check to see if we can keep this in the podcast. So I say that because I did an episode, like, I don't know, an hour and a half episode a few years ago, and with someone from Special Olympics, and they one of the top leaders had said where the next Unified Cup is going to be. That's like a football or soccer match for people with or without disabilities playing on the same team. The first one was in Chicago. The last year it was in Detroit, and he announced it before they had publicly announced it, and so we had to edit it out. Yeah. And yeah. So that's why we pre-record now instead of live streaming.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. The power of podcasting. Okay, so this next question, before we take our final break and then get to some final thoughts at the end of the episode, is advice for others who want to join our United family as a flight attendant. And I know this particular question is of particular interest to one of my service ambassador colleagues who's based at our Denver hub. And she said that she would love to be a flight attendant. And I probably should highlight in this question in particular. So for those of us Special Olympics athletes, people with intellectual disabilities, working in the aviation industry is not a job or a career that we were told that we would be able to do, or that we could have an opportunity like this. So that's why we're really thankful that United and Special Olympics has partnered to create this opportunity. So I say that to kind of maybe if you could share, not only for those of us with intellectual disabilities, but for any of our listeners, whether you have a disability or you don't, whether you are struggling with mental health or you might not be, but do you have any advice for those? I know you have. I think one of the Instagram reels that you have pinned to your profile, I think you might have talked about becoming a flight attendant.
Yeah. I did just actually recently swap those out though, but yes.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it was probably from a couple months ago, but yeah, but I'm sure that, yeah. So kind of going off of that, so for our listeners that might not have seen that, but kind of using that as a kind of kickoff to share some advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I get that question a lot. And I don't think people realize how easy it is to get the application process going, because all you really need to do is log on. If we're hiring, log on to the website. And I will say, make sure that you are on United's website, because there are other third-party websites that try to say they're the application and it's really not. So just be careful with that. Make sure you're on the actual United website or airline website if you're applying to another airline, and just read over the requirements. Usually, I think the age requirement is 21, I believe, and then just make sure you meet all the other requirements and really just apply. That's the first step, is getting your application in, and then go along with the process. Usually there's an assessment, a video interview, and then the one-on-one. And if you get through all of that, what they really want to see through the interview process is just your customer service experience, really. Yeah. They want to know you can handle stressful situations and how you are going to go above and beyond for the passengers and things like that. But once you get through all of that, and if you are thinking about becoming a flight attendant, one thing that I always tell everyone is make sure you have money. It's going to help you so much. That's one of the reasons why I left my first airline, because I was not financially prepared for it. So just make sure you have at least 1 to 2 months of bill money put away, because training is going to take all your time and you're not going to be making what you were making, essentially. So that's my biggest tip. If you are thinking about becoming a flight attendant, have savings, have money put away in a savings account, because you're going to need it. I promise you. And then again, support system makes all the difference, because becoming a flight attendant, yes, it's an amazing job and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It is such a lifestyle change. It's not like any other career. So a lot of people go into it without really realizing that their entire life is going to change. So having those people to support you and be there is game changer. Awesome.
Well, I will try to see if from any contacts I know at the United headquarters, see if we can put some links to where people can apply to be a flight attendant, so that way we have the correct links directly from United Airlines. And because I can actually, I know the communications officer at United, so I'll get in touch and see if we can put some of those links in the show notes. Especially since United and Bridge is sponsoring this podcast, we want to make sure to give the updated correct links, so that way you guys don't have to go Googling, if that's a word. Googling. Yeah. Yeah, Googling, you can just go directly to specialchronicles.com/podcast 515 and find a link in the show notes. We're going to go ahead and take our final sponsor breaks, and we'll be back in just about under a minute for some final thoughts as we wrap up this conversation with Brianna, a flight attendant based in Chicago, right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be right back. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. At Special Chronicles, we proudly host our weekly podcasts with Podbean and highly recommend you use Podbean Podcast Hosting to get started in podcasting today. Sign up for an unlimited hosting plan and get 1 month free now to get started in podcasting today when you visit specialchronicles.com/Podbean. That's specialchronicles.com/Podbean. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard, the easiest way to create professional live streams. StreamYard is a live streaming studio in your browser. Interview guests, share your screen, and much more. Stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms. Sign up for StreamYard today using our StreamYard referral link when you visit specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. And we're back. So I guess this is Brianna, a flight attendant based in Chicago with United Airlines. And Brianna, this is the point of the episode before we get to the final question is to plug social media links. So I'll make sure to include links in the show notes. But if you want to let our listeners know how they can follow you on Instagram and subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So my handles for both Instagram and YouTube are Breeze Wanderlust. So it's BRIS Wanderlust, WANDERLUST. There's no spaces, no underscores, nothing like that, all one word. And definitely feel free to reach out to me, DM me with any questions you have about, becoming a flight attendant, or if you have questions about mental health, anxiety, or if you just need to talk to somebody because sometimes that's all someone needs. Definitely reach out to me. You're not alone. I will do my best to talk to you and have a conversation and help you the best way that I can. Awesome.
So we will definitely put links to your Instagram and YouTube channel in the show notes for this episode, 515, specialchronicles.com/podcast 515. So before we get to the final question, do you have any final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles show?
I just really appreciate you having me on the show. I think this was a great opportunity to be able to really talk about, mental health, especially in aviation, and just talk about those important topics. And I'm just really grateful. It was great. You had some really great questions, and I feel like conversation. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. It's always great to connect. I know at United Airlines, they talk a lot about connecting with people and uniting the world, but it's neat to not just with our passengers, but to even connect with other employees is a lot of fun. And then on top of that, to be able to share our stories, whether it's stories with those of us with disabilities or stories with mental health, that maybe there might be another listener that might be listening, or hopefully we can get hopefully the comms team can share this among employees on internally among United, and can other people can kind of hear from your story and can advocate for their own mental health, or somebody, either a colleague or family or friend that they might know. So with that, we've got a final question, and to introduce the final question, we're going to go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Difference. Our demands are
Equality. Equality. Equality.
Dignity.
Dignity,
dignity, and the recognition of our
shared humanity. We will not stop.
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution.
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
And ever since I attended the 2019 Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi, I've been asking all of our guests one final question, and so I'll do the same with you, Brianna. And as you know, inclusion is a big power at United Airlines. The inclusion revolution is a big message in our Special Olympics movement. It's also important here at Special Chronicles. And so I'll conclude with you and ask you, what does inclusion mean to you?
Yeah, inclusion is treating people equally, making sure everyone has equal rights, allowing someone to be who they are, and just treating them the way that you want to be treated. I mean, that said it perfectly. There's so much divide now, and really we all should be treating each other with kindness, and we all should be treating each other equal. And I mean, it's just no matter their background, no matter where they come from, we're all human beings. We're all part of the same race, essentially. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode. Hopefully, I don't know by the time this episode airs, but hopefully we can meet up in person in our Chicago hub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotta happen soon.
I know. It's always it's amazing to connect. Like there was somebody at United on the West Coast who was following me on Twitter, and I don't go on Twitter that much anymore. I've got accounts there, but I don't really. I haven't been on there just because of everything happening, and so. With that social, we won't go into that. But like someone who followed me there came up to me when I was working, and had recognized me from there. So it's always neat to connect with different employees, not just what we're doing on a podcast or on Instagram, but in person. So with that, I will. The video is, there we go. I think the video is, there we go. All right. So with that, I'll let you get back to the rest of your evening, and want to just remind our listeners to visit our website, specialchronicles.com. You can stream our archives of over 730 episodes, I believe, for free. Also, follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and subscribe to our newsletter. And remember to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to share this episode, because that's how we can grow our audience. If you all can share this episode, share our Instagram reel clips that we will be. I can add you as a collaborator on when we. Because I'm going to edit like just a 1-minute clip, and we will, so I'll do that on the morning. So this episode will drop on the 27th of February, and so at 6 p.m. Central Time. So that morning is when we will put up a clip, just because I don't want to put it up too early, because people might forget, and that way people can tune in and enjoy. So until then, have a great week, and folks, we'll see you next week with another episode of the Special Chronicles show right here on specialchronicles.com. Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes absolutely for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks as always to our business manager, Daniel Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.